Question 42. Sketch the graph of y equals 10 cosine of pi over 2 outside of x minus 2 over the interval from 0 to 6. So the first thing we want to do here is identify some important constants. The first one is this 10. This 10 represents the amplitude. We have an amplitude of 10 in this graph. So from the center of the graph, it will increase vertically for 10 units and decrease vertically for 10 units. The next constant is b, which is pi over 2. Now b by itself doesn't tell us a whole lot, but we can use b to find the period. The formula for the period is 2 pi divided by b. So 2 pi divided by pi over 2. Instead of dividing by pi over 2, I'm going to take the reciprocal and multiply. We get some canceling happening here. The pi's cancel. Pi divided by pi is 1. So 2 times 2 is 4. So my period is 4. That means that every 4 units horizontally, the graph will repeat itself. All right, the next value in here is 2, and that's a familiar one. It means the graph is shifted 2 to the right. More importantly, because this is the cosine, it means the maximum has shifted 2 to the right. So the maximum has shifted 2 units to the right. All right, so now there's also a d value, right? This is a, 10 is a, b helps us determine a period, c is your translation. There is a d. If we don't see d, it's 0, and d is the center. So this graph is centered on 0. So d equals 0, and that just means the center. So we could actually label our y-axis now. We know it's centered on 0 and it goes up 10 units. So let's do that first. My graph is centered on 0 and it goes up 10 units. So it goes 10 units up. And by inspection, it'll go 10 units down. The other thing is my period. Let's use my period of 4. So that's a nice period, because a lot of students want to label radians on your axis. But in this type of question, if your period is 4, it repeats itself every 4 units. So what we should do is label using numbers, not radians. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I guess another big hint, they told us they want us to use the interval from 0 to 6. But, you know, they're not always going to give you that. A lot of times they'll say 1 complete cycle. So you want to at least go your period and probably go a little more. So if your period is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a perfect way to label your x-axis. If your period is 2 pi, then it's the more traditional pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi kind of labels. So use your period to label x-axis. All right, so I think we're rolling here. So a normal cos graph has a maximum right on the y-axis. This has a maximum 2 units to the right, as we said, based on this right here. So my maximum is 2, 10. Now, my period is 4, so in 4 units time, 4 units horizontally, 1, 2, 3, 4, by the time I get to 6, I should have completed 1 full cycle. So this right here is 6, 10. Now, what happens in between is also very important. And what I recommend is just sketch the cos graph we know and love from everyday life. Okay? In between 2 maximums, is your minimum. So we want to put a minimum, and we know the minimum value is negative 10. We want to put a minimum. So what's in between 2 and 6? Well, this one's easy, right? 4 is obviously in between 2 and 6. If you're not sure, find the average. 2 plus 6, right? The middle, find the average. 2 plus 6 divided by 2. So obviously it's 4. It's not always going to be that easy. So this point right here is 4 comma negative 10. Go back to our little sketch up here. In between a maximum and a minimum is a center point. So my center has to occur right here at 3 comma 0. And likewise, in between a minimum and a max is another center, right? What's in the middle of 4 and 6? It's 5. So here is our graph. Okay, because they want to show a complete picture from 0 to 6, the pattern will repeat itself. It's at a maximum. It has to come back down to the center. And once it comes down to the center, it will go to a minimum once again, following that same pattern. So we'll draw a smooth curve here. All right, it goes down. And they want from 0 to 6, so I probably should erase the points beyond that. I don't know how particular they are. So I'm going to stop right at 6, but curve it so you can see it leveling out. You don't want it to look like it's continuing to increase. And this one right here, I'll just erase that. Erase, please. Okay, wonderful. So this is our curve that shows the sketch over the interval of 0 to 6. Okay? The only other graph they'll ever ask you, I guess, is sine. How would the sine graph with everything the same be different? Well, sine is increasing through the center. So, not that it matters, but if this were sine instead, sine is increasing through the center, so it would start right here, 2 to the right. That's where sine would start. So, you could really just shift this over 1 unit, and you would get a sine curve with the similar constants. Okay, I think that's it.